Hey guys, I'm Patch with Mobius Media Solutions, and today we're talking to Erik from Steward Outdoor. Stick around. Hey Erik, how are you, buddy?
Good, Patch. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good. You guys got a rockin' ass business going on. Tell me what you guys have going on, and we'll start there.
Sounds good. So I own it's an environmentally conscious outdoor apparel company, is what I call it. We manufacture organic outdoor apparel in the U.S., and we donate 2% of sales to environmental nonprofits.
Yeah. So kind of just give me a little bit of your background. How did you get into textiles? We won't call it fashion, but how did you get into that?
Sure. I mean, I think it's been a long road for sure. I think I've worked a lot of different jobs over the years. So I think growing up, it was a matter of going through the thing, going through high school, college, kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And so I went to Salem State for marketing. Yeah. And when I was in school there, I went to school for marketing because I wanted to kind of pair that major with something in the outdoors. So I thought it'd be cool to kind of maybe work for Patagonia one day. But I was taking an environmental science class, and we got to see all the glaciers receding, got to learn about climate change, and I really wanted to kind of do something to help it out, make a difference.
And this has really kind of become a passion for you, right? You're participating in other events. Tell us about some of those that kind of bring a little understanding to environmental change. And
sure. Yeah, so I went down to the People's Climate March in D.C. In April. So we got in the Jeep, drove down, made a pit stop along the way down to the Delaware Water Gap, did some hiking, and then got to DC, and it was crazy. For me, I've never seen anything like that. There were tens of thousands of people lined up and marching together, for one cause, and it was cool.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
So, so you started tell me how did you get into the business? Like, what was the first move to say, hey, I'm going to make a t-shirt, or I'm going to make a beanie, or, what was the first step?
All right. So we came up with the idea. So I was like, okay, I think the best way to create change would be to kind of create like a banner, something that people can rally behind. And I think brands have that power to do so, especially brands that are relevant to a younger demographic.
Yeah.
So once I figured out that a clothing company would be the best way of going about it, I reached out to a friend of mine named Amanda, who owns a store down in Hyannis. Yeah. And she owns an eco boutique. And I said, hey, Amanda, I'm looking to do this. Could you give me some information? And she put me in touch with her friend Catherine, who just so happened to be opening up a small batch clothing manufacturing company for young designers. Because typically when you manufacture, it's in bulk. It's like thousands of units. But she was willing to give people the opportunity to do hundreds, and that's different. So I met with Catherine, and I showed her a couple different designs, my logo and what I was hoping to accomplish, and she loved it. And she said, okay, let's make a t-shirt. And I was like, okay, how do we do this? Where do we start?
So you mentioned logo. So how did you come up with the logo? Was that
Sure. It changed over time. When I first started out, the name of the company was different. It was Clima. So I thought that, since we're trying to address things like climate change, that would be, a nice business brand name. Yeah. So it was that to begin with, but it changed over time because at one point when I was a sophomore, I entered a business plan competition for seed funding. And I wrote this 15-page business plan and profit and loss statement, and I gave it to the judges, and the judges were all CEOs of these really cool companies.
Right.
And they went through and they're like, this is so great, but Clima is a registered USPTO. So you're gonna have a problem with that, no bueno. Yeah. So, and that was tough because it was a year and a half up to then, and I was consumed by this brand name. I thought it was the greatest thing. So to even fathom coming up with something else was impossible. But so I took a little bit of a break. And that next semester at school, I took an ethics class. And one of the major terms that we talked about was stewardship and what it meant to be a good steward of the environment. So essentially, like, the planet is like a rental textbook. Right. And you get it for a time. And then, when it's your time to go, you want to return it in the same condition that you got it. So, and it didn't really dawn on me or anything at the time that might be a cool business name. but I was hiking up in the White Mountains in New Hampshire, and it was doing the Franconia Ridge Loop, and it's sick. It's about 4,000 feet.
Yeah.
And once you get to a certain point, you enter the Alpine Zone, and they have these signs that are hung up, and they say, "You're now entering the Alpine Zone. The vegetation is difficult to regrow. Please be a caring steward." And it just hit me. I was like, "This is perfect. This is the steward embodies the brand." Essentially, we're trying to do the best that we can to make all of our products responsible and environmentally conscious and give back and have this sort of philosophy. And so I just went with that and I ran with it.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine who's a really good artist drew up this really cool logo, and I loved it. And I think it helps us to, like I said, there's a lot of noise out there in the clothing and outdoor apparel spheres. So to kind of stand out is really difficult, but I think we were able to do that.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome story. There's a lot of people that just have terrible names because they think it's cool, right?
Yeah.
I have a really good friend of mine that started a company, and the first word of his business is called Destroyer, right? And I'm like, sorry for calling you out. It's like, I tell him all the time, that's a terrible business name because it's okay for like one or two people. Yeah. But when you're trying to come up with the concept that, as you said, is a banner or something that people can rally around, you really have to have something that is unique, but also has the ability to get people to say the name over and believe in it.
Yep.
And it's also funny that you were talking about how you feel that the name couldn't change. In the beginning, it felt like you couldn't see yourself getting behind anything else. But I know many, 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 many different companies that have been in that situation. It can either be, a big company where, some marketing firm says, "Hey, you guys need to change your name," or it could be, a split in a partnership and somebody has to change. Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, or, it used to be the Facebook, and, there's all kinds of things that, can make a brand have to change. But do you feel like now that, have you bought into Steward?
Yeah. No, I love it. I think it was a blessing in disguise. It was something that at the time was a real pain point for me, but it worked out awesome in the long run. I think this was the name all along for it. And, it was between the two, I was looking at, making up words, putting like two Latin root words together that somehow made something that made sense, and I think that's crazy. I was going for all these, I was reaching, essentially for something else, and, it just came along.
Yeah. You know what? Do you ever watch Bar Rescue?
Yes.
All right. You know how like not all of them, but a lot of the bar owners, they don't want to change their name, even though the names they come up with are badass. Right? It's like picking names is really, really hard. I've been a part of starting up, many, many different businesses, and that's always one that is really a sticking point. Is trying to come up with a name that is going to resonate with people, that people are going to remember, that you can get the URL for, that it's all that kind of stuff.
It's just something you don't think about when you're first getting into it, because you're so consumed with this idea that you have and you think it's so great, and then you have all these hurdles that you don't know are coming your way. You're going to have to jump over them somehow.
So the URL you have is stewardoutdoor.com.
Yep.
And so you've combined a couple of different things. So you've combined, stewardship with the outdoor theme.
Yep.
You hike a lot. You're always, participating in outdoor stuff. So this business has really become a passion for you on multiple different levels.
Yeah.
So can you just kind of talk about that and, how you see the brand kind of being that banner that you were talking about?
Sure. It's definitely, for me, it's been great because it affords me the ability to do some traveling. We do a lot of video work, I think I said. So, we go up to Vermont, New Hampshire. We're going up to Maine this month to do some shooting. The traveling down to DC, all those things are really great. And I guess the passion for me is, being able to live that life that I've always wanted to, feel fulfilled, wake up in the morning and not be unhappy going to work, being psyched and challenged by it. I like constantly being challenged, because I don't think that happens enough. And that's how you really grow. And I always say to everyone that true growth comes from uncomfortable situations, inevitably.
I'll tell you what, man, if you need challenges, you need to come ride my hip pocket for a little bit. I have challenges every day.
Yeah.
But you came up with the idea, came up with the badass logo, came up with a badass name. But you had some other challenges early on trying to get started in manufacturing. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So being a marketing major, I didn't know a whole lot about clothing manufacturing. It was, going into it, I was naive enough to think that you could come up with a design for something, and hand it to somebody and have them just make it. Right. In reality, it's like you come up with your designs. You've sourced the materials for that design, which can be extremely difficult, depending on your design. Like, let's say you have a blue shirt that you want to make, but you can't find blue materials. Right. You might have to sacrifice that blue color and go for the green. Something like that.
Well, and just to make it clear, you're not talking about buying a shirt and slapping your logo on it. You're talking about actually making the shirt. So kind of just help me figure out, what does that actually mean?
Yeah. Yep. So essentially you come up with your designs for what you want to make. And for Steward, I really want to, keep with that sustainability concept and make designs that are timeless. Yep. I don't want to make something that you can wear for one season and then have it go out of style and then you throw it away. I want something that you can wear now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, no matter what. Right. So you go through the design process. You decide, I want to make a t-shirt. You'll give it to your manufacturer, and then you'll source materials for that. Like, let's say I want to use organic cotton jersey knit, and then I'll find that. We'll make I will work with a pattern maker. We'll develop a pattern for the design, depending on what you're going for. Yeah. Then the pattern, we'll give it to the manufacturer. You'll get the materials to the manufacturer. They'll make a sample. You try the sample on, and then you see how you like it.
And you hope to God it fits.
Yeah, you hope to God that it fits. And then let's say we're screen printing. So when you screen print, it goes through heat, right? Yeah. So you want to make sure that, let's say you're putting on 3 different locations, an exterior, left chest, back, and tag. It's going to go through the dryer 3 times. So that's going to shrink it 3 times. So essentially what you can do is you can wash and dry it 3 times, and then you'll measure the difference, and then you'll make adjustments to your pattern to accommodate for the shrinkage, so that once it goes through everything, you get your finished product the way you want it. So there's that whole, development phase. And then once you get the sample the way you want it, you get all your materials, and then you go into production. And that's cool. That was very challenging.
Yeah. So, and you're using high-end fabric. Yep. You're using high-end thread. Yep. Are you using high-end tags or high-end screen printing? Yep. Or yeah. Okay.
So it's all environment. So I try to incorporate that environmentally conscious mentality into everything, whether it's the organic materials or the screen printing, water-based screen prints, the whole kit and caboodle. I was actually we're working on a few different things right now. One of them includes a zipper. Yeah. And I never really looked into it. I never knew anything about zippers. I never knew that it would be something so difficult to kind of figure out. Yeah. So then, after spending countless hours on the computer doing research, I found that the best zipper for the pullover that we're working on is a 12-inch coil zipper number 5. And I was like, this is pretty neat. It's just, you're just constantly learning all these new things.
Yeah. So what, as easy as a zipper sounds, because everybody has something with the zipper on it now. Yeah. It's almost like it doesn't matter what business you're in, you're going to come up with new stuff that you have to learn regularly. Yeah. And, 5 years from now, we're going to be talking about, you have 80 different products with zippers on it, and it's going to be like, zippers are easy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's a struggle to really break into something new that you just I mean, even if you have a really good business mind,
yeah,
some of the smallest things just seem to be like big obstacles.
Yeah.
So you guys also try to do some crowdfunding too.
Yeah.
In the beginning. So how did that kind of, either help you scale or understand what scale was going to be for you?
So I always thought when I was first starting out, Kickstarter was coming to its end, but I thought that Kickstarter was the necessary step to get from concept to business. Mm-hmm. So what I did is we went through the manufacturing process. We developed the samples, and then we were going to kickstart production. Mm-hmm. So I was getting materials from Germany, and they were great. They were awesome. I think they were from Turkey to a company in Germany and then shipped over to us.
Right.
And they were awesome materials. And so I planned on, doing this Kickstarter campaign to kickstart 4 different styles: a men's tank top, men's t-shirt, women's t-shirt. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't too big of a deal. It would have been pretty easy. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we spent a couple months working on a Kickstarter video. We had, I got to interview the president of Salem State University.
Wow.
Yeah, she was a huge, they were behind me. Like they helped me so much. I can never thank them enough for that. But got to interview her. We interviewed the clothing manufacturer, Catherine, and we also, one of the executive director for a nonprofit that we're giving money to. We interviewed him as well to kind of build that legitimacy that we were looking for, that you want in like a Kickstarter campaign, because if people are going to buy into, you want them to be, trust that their money's going to a safe place.
Yeah.
So we drove up to New Hampshire. We filmed in my dad's friend's log cabin. We got this really sweet interview. We made an awesome Kickstarter video, and did press releases. We were in the Cape Cod Times, and we got all this great feedback, and we raised a ton of money. But in the beginning, I was thinking huge. I was like, I want this now. When in reality, it's important. I should have thought, let's grow small, and responsibly. So we didn't get the $20,000 that I was looking for. We didn't get the $8,000 that we raised. What I did get was kind of like a reality check. And that was awesome. That was a blessing. That forced me to think smaller, more responsible. What I did is I was challenged by the fact that we didn't raise the money that I was anticipating. So I took away the men's tank and the women's shirt, and mm-hmm. I just went with a women's tank and the guy's t-shirt, and we went forward with that, and that worked out fine. Everyone really liked that. And I've since, retracted the women's offering, and, for now, because I think it's important to let's get one thing going first, right, and then we'll worry about the next after.
Right.
Because that's, if you split yourself too much, it starts to become unproductive. And if you focus on one thing enough and get that going, then you can kind of trickle in, the women's side of things.
Yeah. So how do you figure out when it's time to start adding?
Yeah, I think I knew that it was time to start adding these new products, months ago. I was like, okay, we've done this. And it wasn't even a matter of we finished these products. It's like we're, as a brand, we have a substantial following. People know about us. We've done several videos. We have, our website's, looking pretty good. So I think it's time to kind of increase what we have to incorporate more people, to kind of give others what they're looking for, essentially. Mm-hmm. If you're not somebody who likes t-shirts, then okay, we're going to have a shirt for you, or we're going to have this pullover, or if you don't like clothing, here's a water bottle, stuff like that.
Yeah. And you said something else interesting to me before we jumped on the podcast, is you said, I really want to grow this thing to be, 10 or 12 people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting, because you not only have you kind of changed your mind about being, massive. Obviously you want to grow this thing, mm-hmm. but you just don't, you know where you want to go, and that's remaining pretty small. So how'd you arrive at that?
Well, I think it emerged from just consumer trends. I think as of right now where we are, the playing field is kind of changing. Like we're moving from large retail discount stores to small specialty boutiques,
right,
where those small boutiques are really appreciated. And I think it's kind of going with that flow of these really niche clothing companies that have large audiences realistically. They do very well. but you're being sustainable. You're not producing large amounts of clothing that will, if you don't sell them, throw them away or whatever. It's you're manufacturing what you need. You're selling that, and you're staying essentially sustainable. And I think that's, responsible, sustainable growth is very important.
So you run your business fairly lean, right? How many products do you usually order in advance? Have you gotten all that stuff down to where manufacturing takes X amount of time and you need to start ordering it? Do you beef up for Christmas?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I think it's being a small fish in a big pond can definitely make manufacturing difficult because you're competing with companies. Even though you are making less amount, you're still competing with companies in that manufacturer's time span. Whatever they're producing a lot, so they get the most attention. So you're kind of trying to butt in for attention. So I guess it kind of depends. We're still in the 100 range. We don't go too much more than that because then we'd be missing out on other products that we can make.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, around Christmas time, we always want to make sure that we're getting new beanies out for the winter. We're getting new, t-shirts out for the spring and summer. So those we make sure to get those done. And then, now that we have these new products coming out soon, we're going to work those in for next year as well.
Nice.
For the winter.
No, that's awesome. And so we talked about this a little bit. So you started grassroots advertising in the beginning. So sold all your friends, sold your family members and all that kind of stuff. But then you kind of got over into the digital marketing realm and started running Facebook ads and stuff like that. So how did you really get, when did it actually catch on to where you could, you saw it actually working? Like you're ordering products, you're moving products, you're able to generate new leads for new people. How did that kind of kick off?
It took time. I mean, I think for us, our best medium is Instagram. Facebook is kind of hit or miss. We don't get much. And I mean, we'll get a reach, but we don't get much in terms of conversion rates.
Yeah.
So once, we put a lot of effort into the Instagram and making sure our grid looked nice and all that.
Yeah.
I think I want to say it probably took a year and a half maybe, from when we started until then to finally get it going.
Let me ask you a question. When you're doing, so you obviously do a lot in video and photography, but do you think that you get better conversions off of shots that are just active shots, like people just wearing it, doing everyday things, or do you think that you get better off of the stage shots where people are wearing a shirt or wearing a beanie and
I think it definitely changes. When we were first starting, a lot of the pictures that we were posting were simply of landscapes because we didn't have the product to put out there.
Right.
And then it started we did have product and we could get product pictures. So once we did that, you definitely get more of an engagement out of that because I feel like if you see somebody on a mountaintop in what you're selling, people can really, latch on to something like that because as a lifestyle brand, essentially you're kind of helping someone to potentially live that life.
Yeah.
And so those definitely you get the most engagement out of.
Awesome. So you've been, you had a lot of struggles getting into it. You're still, working through issues every single day. This is a full-time thing for you. What would you say is how do you face most problems that come up? Are you like a one bite at a time kind of guy, or do you, lock yourself away in a basement and, don't come out till you have an answer? Do you go hiking? What's the deal?
I definitely, if there's something that happens, I try to address it quickly.
Quick?
Yeah. I don't want it to linger on too much because I think, because then that would impede on the next problem that I have coming my way. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's address this, let's get it done, and then let's get ready for the next. So, I do like to go hiking, though. It's a good way to...
Do you look forward to problems?
Yeah.
I do, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like... It's like... when you're growing a business, the more problems you have, it should mean the faster you're growing.
Yeah.
Right? And if you think about it, if you went in every single day and you never had problems, you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion.
No, I agree.
I think that every time you run into a new issue, you know, we do it internally at Mobius. You know, we're constantly bringing out new things. We're tracking down new avenues of revenue. We're always looking for, you know, different client bases and different things that we can do, but still do at a really, really high level.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of funny. Yesterday we were going through and we were testing some new stuff, and it was like, oh, I can't do that because of this problem. Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll work on that for a little while. Oh, I can't do it because of this problem. All right, we'll work on that for a little while.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, even though it was a 14-hour day, what we thought couldn't get done in the morning finally got done.
Yeah.
And that's just a one-day process. And I know a lot of your things have taken months and months and months, but you know, I think it does say something about the more problems you have that are good problems, the better off it is. So just from starting the business, what would you say is something that you have really truly learned that you can pass on to, you know, other people looking to start their own business? What's a piece of advice that you could give to them?
Buckle up. I just think, you know, you got to be ready to be in it for the long haul, you know, and that's, if you're going to do this, you need to commit and you just need to do it. You know, there can't be if you second guess it, you're unproductive and you're not doing, like you said, you're not doing anything. You just need to get in there and just move forward. It's like you're crawling on the ground and you just move your elbows forward. You're just fighting for inches, essentially. Yeah. So I just think that my advice would be to just get ready and then just dig in and get it done.
Yeah.
You know, I've always been one to be in it for the long haul. You know, like I ran a marathon once, you know, and that was like training, and then you're in this marathon and, you know, 18 miles of it is all training, and the other, you know, a couple miles is all mental. You know, you're like, I've been running for 4.5 hours. Why am I still running? How am I still running? But you still run. And I think that is something that I could really say is like, it mostly is mental, and you just need to continue to fight forward.
It's once you cross the 26, it's that last little bit that gets everybody.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like,
you know, there's like buses there. They're like, come here, jump on this bus. They're like, we have AC, so yeah, cold water, and you're like, no, I've been training for this marathon for months, and I'm not gonna quit.
Yeah,
you know, and you just can't quit.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. All right, man. It's come to the part of the podcast where we're going to ask you a bunch of rapid-fire questions.
Nice.
And I want you to try to answer them as fast as you can without thinking.
Okay.
All right. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Describe yourself in 3 words.
I'm sorry. This is so tall, handsome, and funny.
And humble, right? What's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
Smile.
Biggest regret this far in life?
That I haven't been to California yet.
What is success to you?
That's tough. I would have to say success to me would be that I changed the world for the better.
Good for you. What makes you smile?
Jeez, Patch.
I make everybody smile.
This is so deep. What makes me smile would be to see other people happy.
If you lost everything tomorrow, who would be the first person you'd turn to?
I mean, I'd have to turn to my mom.
What would you do differently if you knew no one was judging you?
I would have screamed loud and proud from the rooftops when I first started this company.
Good for you. Who or what have you given up on?
I can't say that I've always been one to try and go forward with everything. I mean, yeah, I don't think I've ever gave up on anyone.
Awesome. And how many cans of Monster do you think it would take you to give you the energy to make $1 million?
1.
Good. Thanks so much, man. I do appreciate you hanging out with me. This has been awesome. So we've got Erik here with Steward Outdoor, and if you have anything else to add to the conversation that we had about starting a business, please put it in the comments below, and we'll talk to you next time.
Hey, thanks so much for checking out this episode of our podcast. If you guys like the content that you just saw, would you do us a favor and go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below? It really helps us know that we're making the right kind of content that you guys want to watch and listen to. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you check out the description box below, we have all of our social media links. Make sure to follow us on Facebook. We post a lot of our behind the scenes stuff and advertisements for podcasts that are coming up. So once again, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next one.